Welcome to Hero Villains. Who do you think will win when Moon Knight faces Deathstroke? A clash between divine fury and the perfect killing machine. Moon Knight is the embodiment of chaos, guided by divine power. Marc Spector, a former mercenary, becomes the warrior of the god Khonshu after miraculously surviving death itself. His strength comes not only from enhanced physical abilities, but also from an unbreakable will, along with a highly adaptive combat style using a wide arsenal of signature weapons. Moon Knight can endure extraordinary pain, adapt to any situation, and sometimes becomes even more dangerous when pushed to the edge. His psychological instability is his most unpredictable weapon. Deathstroke, also known as Slade Wilson, is the perfect assassin forged through science and elite tactics. After undergoing biological enhancement experiments, he possesses strength, speed, and intelligence far beyond normal humans. Deathstroke is a master strategist, capable of analyzing a battle in mere seconds and always staying one step ahead of his opponent. With a cutting-edge arsenal and near unmatched hand-to-hand combat skills, he turns every fight into a chessboard, where each move is executed with deadly precision. Before we dive deeper into the analysis, please hit the subscribe button and remember to turn on notifications by clicking the bell icon. Thank you very much. Born into a Jewish rabbinical family that was forced to flee Europe in the 1930s to escape the shadow of the Holocaust, Marc Spector's life was shaped early by memories of loss and survival. He chose a completely different path as a way to sever ties with his past. From brutal boxing rings to the disciplined environment of the United States Marine Corps, and later becoming an agent for the CIA, Marc continuously pushed his limits. However, morally ambiguous missions gradually eroded his faith in the ideals he once believed in. Tragedy reached its peak when he was betrayed by his own brother, Randall Spector. That wound was not only physical, but carved deep into his mind, driving Marc to abandon moral boundaries and descend into the blood-soaked world of mercenaries. Amid that grim journey, Jean-Paul Duchamp appeared as a rare light, a trusted ally in a world full of danger. Under the name Moon Knight, Marc became the embodiment of wrath beneath the moonlight. He wields a versatile baton that can transform into a grappling hook or nunchaku, along with razor-sharp crescent darts that tear through the night. His white cape is not just symbolic, but allows him to glide through the air like a ghost. He also uses a bow with astonishing accuracy. Serving under the god Khonshu, Moon Knight carries weapons inspired by ancient Egypt such as the ankh, battle axes, boomerangs, and lasso-like tools. Notably, many of these were designed by Clint Barton from a future timeline. Beyond that, he has even used armor and weapons made of adamantium, a nearly indestructible metal, combined with modern devices capable of explosive impact. In the stillness of the night, when moonlight blankets rooftops and streets, Moon Knight is more than a warrior. He is the conflict between light and darkness, between belief and doubt. Every step he takes echoes like a reminder that the past never truly disappears. It only waits for the moment to rise again, stronger and more haunting than ever. When he infiltrated a mysterious criminal organization known as the Committee and captured Jack Russell, also known as the Werewolf by Night, Marc was equipped with specialized silver weapons. He completed the mission swiftly through overwhelming power and skill. Yet, standing at the fragile boundary between right and wrong, he unexpectedly chose to release Russell, then turned back to eliminate those who had hired him, as a way of freeing himself from invisible strings of manipulation. Moon Knight continued to appear alongside many familiar heroes. He assisted Peter Parker in brutal street-level battles, fought alongside Ben Grimm, and worked with the Defenders on missions beyond ordinary limits. However, his past refused to let him go when Randall Spector returned once more. The confrontation between the two brothers ended in violence. Even so, those victories brought no peace. Spector's mind began to fracture more clearly after encounters with Black Spector, a villain who reflected his own nature in a twisted and cruel way. Amid the inner chaos, Marc even considered abandoning all his identities just to preserve the last fragments of his sanity. Moon Knight is no longer just a crime-hunting warrior. He becomes a symbol of inner conflict, where human will struggles against the call of a god. His power does not follow a fixed standard, but shifts with each phase of the moon, making him a deeply unpredictable opponent. On nights of the new moon, Marc Spector can lift around 450 kilograms, but when the full moon shines, that number surges to nearly 2 tons. This increase is not only physical, it also brings an explosive rise in speed, reflexes, and endurance, allowing him to surpass formidable opponents like Werewolf by Night, Morbius, and Blade at certain moments. However, what truly makes Moon Knight unique is the inconsistency in his track record. There are times when he struggles against Bushman, an enemy not overwhelmingly superior, yet in other moments, he defeats Deadpool, a seasoned assassin whose skill and experience far exceed the norm. And the true limit of Moon Knight becomes even clearer. Against elite fighters such as Daredevil, Captain America, Hawkeye, or Black Widow, his pure skill may not measure up. Even compared to Punisher, known for his brutal and pragmatic combat style, Moon Knight is still considered less sharp in tactical precision. Yet, he possesses something few others have, an extraordinary level of endurance and an incredibly fast ability to adapt in battle. This turns Moon Knight into a frighteningly relentless warrior. He may be overwhelmed in the opening moments, but the longer the fight continues, the more he finds ways to turn the tide. Every blow he endures becomes data stored in memory. Every mistake transforms into a step toward a more precise counterattack. Under the cold moonlight, where the line between pain and power begins to fade, Moon Knight fights not only with muscle, but with an unyielding will. Moon Knight is not the kind of hero confined to dark alleys. His journey extends into confrontations with a wide range of formidable figures, from villains like Hobgoblin and Venom to iconic heroes such as Thing, Hulk, Storm, and Mr. Fantastic. Each encounter pushes him to his limits, where skill, willpower, and sheer daring must merge as one to survive. Facing Dr. Doom and retreating without severe damage stands as clear proof of his extraordinary survival ability. Similarly, when confronting Thor, Moon Knight used every advantage he had, even turning the very symbol of the moon into a weapon to create pressure. Even so, Moon Knight is not the strongest when placed beside top-tier heroes. What sets him apart lies in his refusal to back down and his ability to adapt in any situation. Every wound does not slow him down. And it is in those very moments that Moon Knight proves he does not need to be the best. He only needs to be the one who never falls. I truly hope you will subscribe to the channel. It would help us a lot. And you are amazing. Thank you so much. Now let us talk about Deathstroke. Deathstroke is not simply an assassin. He is the product of a transformation that goes far beyond human limits. Before becoming a legend on the battlefield, Slade Wilson volunteered for the Enhanced Warrior Initiative, a dangerous experiment designed to awaken the latent metagene within his body. The result did not just alter his physique, it completely redefined how his brain functions. Slade's intellect was pushed to its absolute peak, allowing him to process information, analyze tactics, and make decisions at speeds far beyond any normal human. When his brain reached near perfect efficiency, it directly influenced every cell in his body, turning him into a complete warrior. His strength is estimated to be equal to 10 grown men, even surpassing individuals at the peak of physical condition. He stands above even Batman or Cassandra Cain in overall combat capability, something incredibly difficult to achieve in a world filled with elite fighters. What makes Deathstroke truly terrifying is not how strong he is, but how he controls that strength. Despite possessing physical superiority over most enhanced individuals, Slade rarely shows it off. He fights with chilling precision, every movement calculated like a perfect equation. In his eyes, strength is only a tool, while victory comes from intelligence and absolute discipline. Deathstroke does not just intimidate opponents with his reputation, but with feats that seem almost unreal. Slade Wilson once tore open an airplane door with one hand while it was flying at around 500 miles per hour at high altitude. He can defeat enemies who are nearly immortal, opponents capable of withstanding grenade launcher fire, and still remain standing. With a single decisive decisive strike, he sliced through the upper portion of a thick iron throne as if it were nothing more than fragile decoration. One punch from Slade was enough to send Bronze Tiger flying, crashing into a tree and shaking the space around him. He has lifted massive debris and hurled it directly at Batman, forcing his opponent to retreat under overwhelming pressure. Even in uneven battles, he can overpower multiple enemies at once, defeating names like Terra or even Superman in brutal confrontations. Deathstroke's strength typically ranges between 1 and 5 tons, most commonly around 2 tons. Yet it still does not reach the godlike level of many top-tier superheroes. However, focusing only on his physical power would miss the most dangerous aspect of him. The true difference lies in his mind and his extraordinary adaptability. He observes, analyzes, and absorbs his opponent's fighting style at an astonishing rate, then turns it into his own advantage. This often leads to comparisons with Taskmaster, but Slade carries a colder and more pragmatic edge, where every learned skill serves directly to eliminate the target. Deathstroke is considered one of the hardest warriors to take down, thanks to his remarkable healing ability. Slade Wilson can clot his blood within seconds, and open wounds gradually close in a very short time. However, catastrophic brain injuries can still end his life. But the paradox lies here. In certain rare situations, Slade's body can trigger an extremely powerful immune response after death, especially when influenced by infection, creating a recovery process as if his body itself refuses to accept the end. Deathstroke also possesses astonishing durability against massive forces. Blows that could crush a normal person leave almost no significant damage on his body. He has stood firm against the power of Wonder Woman, Superman, and even Iapetus, opponents capable of destroying entire battlefields with just a few strikes. Slade's reflexes reach an almost supernatural level. He can evade bullets at close range, sense danger before it happens, even catch daggers or arrows coming from behind without turning his head. Deathstroke is not simply human. He is like a perfect survival machine, where every cell operates toward a single goal: to continue existing and to win. Even when pushed into situations that seem impossible to escape, he still rises, his breathing heavy, yet his gaze never wavering. Deathstroke is not just fast. Slade Wilson moves at speeds far beyond top-tier athletes, enough to make even Reverse Flash cautious. Even Flash himself has acknowledged Slade as an extremely quick and reactive opponent. But the true danger does not lie in speed alone. It lies in how he combines it with razor-sharp combat thinking. Deathstroke is a master martial artist with the ability to analyze opponents almost instantly. He observes every movement, identifies weaknesses, and exploits them with cold precision. In real combat, Slade has proven this is no empty claim, quickly defeating seasoned fighters like Robin, Green Arrow, and Bronze Tiger with such speed that the fight ends before it truly begins. He has kept pace with legends like Ra's al Ghul, held Red Hood to a draw while weakened, and faced Hawkman head-on. Underwater, he dominates Black Manta, and on land, he easily surpasses Deadshot in intense gunfights. He can even control the battlefield against hundreds of opponents at once, turning chaos into his personal advantage. He is proficient with every kind of weapon, from pistols and rifles to improvised tools. His shots are not only fast, but perfectly calculated, capable of taking down targets at long distances with near unbelievable accuracy. Deathstroke is not just a warrior, he is a storm that controls every movement around him. The world seems to slow down in his eyes. Every breath of his opponent, every faint sound becomes data to process. And when it is all over, the battlefield falls into a chilling silence, as if everything happened in a single blink, leaving behind an undeniable truth that the speed, skill, and intellect of Slade Wilson have merged into something almost impossible to defeat. When Moon Knight and Deathstroke fight, it is not just about strength, but about how they were shaped to fight. Slade Wilson has defeated Batman, and that is often seen as a clear advantage. However, even though Moon Knight shares many similarities with Batman, he is not a copy. Marc Spector was forged in a military environment and operated as an agent, where combat does not stop at restraint, but aims for elimination. That difference in combat mindset shifts the entire dynamic. If Deathstroke holds an advantage against Batman by understanding his style and principles, then Moon Knight disrupts those patterns completely. He is not bound by the same moral limits as Batman, and this makes Slade's familiar calculations far less effective. Moon Knight has even faced Taskmaster, an opponent capable of analyzing and copying fighting techniques in a way similar to how Slade adapts. Those experiences make him far less likely to be overwhelmed by a tactically driven warrior. In terms of physicality and reflexes, Moon Knight is often portrayed as more agile, flexible, and enduring in prolonged battles. He can withstand immense pressure and continuously adapt, turning every moment into an opportunity to strike back. His close combat style is also more direct and brutal, sharpened through real missions rather than controlled training environments. Yet the factor that makes Moon Knight truly unpredictable lies within his mind. Multiple identities coexist within him, creating a constantly shifting combat style that prevents opponents from anticipating his next move. This turns every strike into an unknown variable, every movement carrying a dangerous instability. In the darkness, where moonlight falls like a cold veil, their confrontation is not simply about power. One side represents controlled precision, the other embodies controlled chaos. And it is that unpredictability that may become the key for Moon Knight to turn the tide, transforming the battle into a gamble where even Deathstroke cannot be certain of victory. I hope you enjoyed this battle. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Follow me if you like it. That is today's video. Thank you very much.